Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at an absolute earthquake in the computing world. We're talking about a massive, fundamental shift in how we interact with machines and software, sparked by a piece of technology that seemed to come completely out of nowhere. It's called OpenClaw, and it's literally rewriting the rulebook on artificial intelligence as we know it. So buckle up, because the way you use your computer is about to change forever. $60,000. Let that sink in for a second. In November 2025, an Austrian developer quietly pushed a solo project to GitHub. It wasn't backed by some trillion-dollar tech giant. It had absolutely zero marketing budget. Yet within just 72 hours, it exploded from 9,000 to over 60,000 stars. To put that into perspective, it became one of the fastest-growing projects in GitHub's entire history. The community adoption was instantaneous. It just spread like wildfire. And the tech industry's heaviest hitters took notice immediately. Within 3 months of that launch, Nvidia's CEO Jensen Huang actually called it the operating system for personal AI. So the crucial point is, this quote totally validates the immense hype and disruption of this tool. When the head of the company that's literally powering the physical hardware of the AI revolution calls a solo open source project the operating system for personal AI, you know you're looking at a massive breakthrough. Tech journalists were even comparing the feeling of using it to experiencing ChatGPT for the very first time. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer today, so you know exactly what we're covering. First, the OpenClaw explosion. Second, cloud versus local AI. Third, how the gateway works. Fourth, agents in the real world. Fifth, the security elephant. And finally, the future of AI agents. Section 1, the OpenClaw explosion. Let's talk about where this actually came from. So, the naming journey of this software is actually pretty hilarious. Peter Steinberger originally published it in November 2025 as Claudebot, which, was a direct nod to Anthropic's AI model Claude. Well, Anthropic naturally filed a trademark complaint. So in January 2026, he renamed the project to Moltbot. But literally 3 days later, he realized Moltbot never quite rolled off the tongue. Actually, scratch that, it's a bit clunky, so he officially changed it to OpenClaw. This whole saga is exactly how their famous lobster mascot was born. The community fully embraced this idea of the lobster way, which became this playful nod to molting, claws, and the underlying concept of shedding our old computing habits for something totally new. And by mid-February, the world's largest tech companies were literally bidding for Steinberger services. Section 2. Cloud versus local AI. This is a fundamental shift from what we already know. To really grasp this, we have to contrast the two approaches. With cloud AI, think ChatGPT or Gemini, you're relying on centralized corporate servers. They're heavily focused on conversation, and ultimately a corporation controls your data and the AI's behavior. But with local AI, OpenClaw runs directly on your own device. You retain complete privacy and total control. And rather than just chatting back and forth, it's heavily action and task-oriented. See, OpenClaw isn't really a chatbot. It's more like a tireless digital employee. You literally just message it through WhatsApp, Slack, Discord, or iMessage, and it goes to work for you around the clock, operating across your personal files and sending you updates when it's done. Section 3. How the gateway works. Let's break down the actual technical mechanics. Setting this up is designed to be incredibly straightforward for developers. It really just requires Node.js 24. Then you just run the command OpenClaw onboard right in your terminal. This setup wizard guides you through configuring everything. But the real magic happens in step 3. The software functions as a gateway server. It's a background daemon that essentially acts as the brain, physically connecting an AI model like GPT-4 or Claude directly to your local machine's file system, your calendar, and your communication channels. It just sits there with persistent memory that remembers context across weeks, waiting for you to text it an instruction. Now, what's really interesting about this is the skills system. This is the absolute architectural backbone of OpenClaw. Skills are essentially just directories on your computer containing a specific text file, a skill.md. This file holds the metadata and instructions that dictate exactly how the agent uses tools and what it's actually capable of doing. Because this architecture is so simple and accessible, it allows the open source community to endlessly expand what the agent can do. We saw hundreds of community-built skills become available almost instantly, allowing the agent to browse the web, manage your inboxes, summarize documents, and even execute shell commands autonomously. Section 4. Agents in the real world. Let's move from theory to practice. Because the diverse utility of this tool across different sectors is just massive. In hardware, users actually managed to integrate an OpenClaw gateway into the Rabbit R1 device as an alpha feature in January 2026. You just push the talk button, speak a command, and your local OpenClaw executes it. It literally gave that much-maligned AI gadget a genuine second life. In the enterprise sector, tech giant Tencent saw the potential and launched a full suite of AI products built on OpenClaw in March 2026, making it compatible with their huge WeChat super app. Meanwhile, software developers are using it to autonomously review code and ship features while they sleep, and small businesses are utilizing it for heavy lifting like lead generation, website auditing, and CRM automation. It's a total game changer. Section 5. The security elephant. It's time to talk about the serious responsibility here. So this inevitably begs the question, but is it safe? We have to address the massive liability of this exact power. Think about what OpenClaw actually does. You're giving an autonomous AI agent full, unrestricted access to your personal data. We're talking your private email inbox, your calendar, potentially your banking details, your credit cards, and your passwords. Because it operates autonomously and connects to all these sensitive services behind the scenes, the danger of exploitation is totally unprecedented. If a bad actor compromises your agent, they compromise your entire digital identity. No way around it. 400. That is the number of malicious add-ons that were found lurking on the Community Skill Hub in early 2026 alone. When you have an open-source ecosystem where literally anyone can upload a custom skill file, the potential for hackers to slip in malicious code is a severe, documented threat. It's hard data we just can't ignore. And the real-world fallout has been significant. In mid-February 2026, the cybersecurity firm Hudson Rock detected a live infection where an info stealer successfully exfiltrated a victim's OpenClaw configuration environment. The cybersecurity community had to react immediately. Cisco stepped up and announced DefenseClaw, which is an open-source agentic governance layer that sits on top of the environment to actively scan every single skill and plugin, detecting threats at runtime. Internationally, the response was just as swift. Chinese authorities officially restricted state-run enterprises and government agencies from running OpenClaw apps on office computers to diffuse these exact risks. It's a stark reminder that as AI agents become more capable, our security frameworks are desperately racing to keep pace. Section 6. The future of AI agents. And this brilliantly illustrates the overarching theme here. We are moving from a world where AI answers questions to a world where AI completes missions. OpenClaw isn't just a clever new tool. It represents a complete paradigm shift in our relationship with computing. We're moving away from merely typing prompts into a browser and waiting for some text to delegating complex, multi-step, real-world actions to an autonomous system that works independently on our behalf. It is the absolute clearest, most accessible embodiment of this shift toward agentic AI. This profound shift is captured perfectly in a widely shared post by an early OpenClaw user. They wrote, "After years of AI hype, I thought nothing could faze me. Then I installed OpenClaw. From nervous, 'Hi, what can you do?' to full throttle, design, code review, taxes, AI as teammate, not tool." This quote perfectly summarizes our core thesis today. The software is no longer just a passive utility waiting for input. It has become an always-on, context-aware digital coworker sitting right there on your local machine. Which leaves us with one final provocative question for you to ponder. Are you ready to manage a digital teammate? Or are the security risks simply too high for your personal data right now? The open source community has let the lobster out, and it is definitely not going back in the water anytime soon. It's up to us to figure out how to navigate this new era safely. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. I hope this explainer helped clarify the massive potential and the massive risks of our agentic future. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.